Overcoming social anxiety comes down to this. Would you rather choose the pain of loneliness, anxiety, and hopelessness? Or would you rather take the pain of constantly putting yourself in the fire and confronting your fears?
We all have the boy in you and just trust to it.
How do you overcome social anxiety? The anxiety of people and all this crazy, stupid shit. You know, all this shit that we tell you that, oh, if you just reprogram your thoughts in therapy sessions, I think it helps about like 1%. But there's another 99% of it that you have to do, and you have to face your fears. So no amount of therapy will make up for it. Sure, it might help you out a little bit, but you have to get out there, make real social skills, and get first-hand experience. Here's the dark truth about it. What I believe is that social anxiety, for those who have it, listen, it might be with you forever. And it's not to be pessimistic, but if you take a dog and you just beat him several times for several hours, the dog will probably never be exactly 100% normal ever again, because he was beaten down when he was younger. Social anxiety, if you have it, it's probably something that you have to work with every day, better every day, kind of like a muscle, a social muscle that you have to train, or else you'll atrophy. You know, personally, I've had a lot of social shyness to deal with. It might not seem like it because, hey, I'm good at putting a mask on, and anyone could put a mask on the internet and pretend that they're confident if they practice enough to speak to a camera. But speaking to a machine right now, through electrons that go through the camera, and knowing that I can edit afterwards and cut all the fluff that I think is unnecessary, and knowing that I could fuck up right the fuck now, this sentence, I could mess it up, and it wouldn't fucking matter because I have the editing software, is completely different than actually interacting with a human being. So do not mistake the mask for reality, the social image for reality. To expand a bit on my story, I learned pickup a few years ago, you know, when I started getting out to meet girls. And that was the number one catalyst that helped me overcome my social anxiety, where I had to meet more people. Get out there and meet people, go to house parties back in college. Quite frankly, the anxiety, the approach anxiety that we call it in the seduction community, never went away. And it's still there right now. Anytime I talk to a girl, I feel anxious. Anytime I go into a new social situation, I feel anxious. Not always, but most of the time. But that's okay. Because with those techniques that I'm gonna tell you right now, regardless of whether it ever goes away or not, that is not the goal. I will teach you to embrace this social anxiety for yourself. So let's get back to the problem of medical, psychological approach of therapy. Therapy does not give you hands-on experience. It only gives you a temporary feeling of feeling better because, hey, you're interacting with a therapist. You're talking about your problems, they're giving you solutions. But the problem here is that if you don't take those solutions to the real world, then no amount of therapy will help you. Instead of spending $150 for a session, why don't you save this money and invest it in going to 10 classes for $15 where you can practice overcoming your social anxiety? Let's get into the solutions now. First of all, what is fear? Fear, according to Wikipedia, is, what does it say? Feeling induced by perceived danger or threat. Fear comes from the perception of threat, from the perception of danger, not from actual threat. Because you perceive the social interaction as a threat, you have a fear response to it. That stops you from actually being calm and relaxed. So this is the first thing that you have to notice before you start. How do you overcome social anxiety? You get first-hand experience, real-life experience, that your perceived danger, your perceived threat of this social interaction is actually not a threat, nor a danger. The more evidence you gather that whatever you thought was scary is actually not scary, the more you'll overcome social anxiety. And your brain wants proof of the truth not promised is that, oh, you'll be fine. This is the problem with cognitive behavioral therapy, that you don't have real life evidence that social scenarios are safe. You're just taught to reprogram your thoughts in a abstract way that it'll be fine. So you gotta go out very consistently. You gotta set some goal into how frequently you will go out to overcome this social anxiety. The more reference you get that interacting is a positive, safe thing, the more the balance will tip, and you will believe that interacting is fun instead of scary. So what kind of goals could you set in order to overcome your social anxiety? It could be every day that you go out, let's say to the grocery store, like you gotta interact with the clerk, ask them, instead of just, hi, how can I pay with this? Blah, blah, blah. You can say, hey, how's your day going so far? Now you have a bit of conversation going, and you see that having conversation with strangers is not something that's too scary, that you can do it. Every week, you will attend this free meeting thing about XYZ. Let's say you're vegan, you could attend a vegan meeting once a week, join a vegan club where you meet other vegan like-minded people that like to eat vegan. I don't know, a yoga class, cooking class, or it could even be you just go out to a club or a bar with a friend or two, and then you talk to people. You can do like me, that you could go out every single week and pick up girls. Maybe at work, instead of eating by yourself, try to eat with somebody else. Or if it's too scary to the thought of having to sit with someone, a stranger, maybe when I bump into them at the water cooler, I could try to start a conversation more than just, let's say, how many sales did you get today? I could start trying to talk about them about, hey, how's your life going outside of work? And start a conversation like this. See, so unlimited options. And what I suggest for you to do is that you take a piece of paper and you list down the top 10 things that you could do right now to overcome your social anxiety. On top of the list, you put the easiest thing, and then you go progressively to the hardest and hardest thing. So number 1 could be ask a stranger for the time. Number 2 could be ask a clerk about how their day is doing, whatever thing. And number 10 could be attend a house party and stay there until the end of the night, something like that. All right. So there's progressive steps right there. And this is how you should go about it. Set goals, actually achieve them. No amount of talking in a forum, no amount of talking about how hard it is that overcome social anxiety will help you. That is not true. You gotta go out there and take action. If you have severe social anxiety, you can't even get out of your house. Well, start with that. Just get out of your house. Just walk 1 block and come back home. Walk to the grocery store and then come back home. The next day, walk to the grocery store, ask for something, go back home. I don't know, there's unlimited things you can do. So try it out. So what are the possible ways in which this external solution could go wrong is that you start backsliding, right? You start going out for a while, you start interacting with strangers, but at a certain point, you just kind of, the first few days, maybe you're excited, you're like, yeah, I'm socializing, good. But then just some random day you wake up and you're like, the anxiety just pushes on you, like just hardcore, and you just can't take it anymore. And it just fucking makes you paranoid, you don't know what the fuck to do. But it happens. You have to expect that your progress will be kind of like mountains on top of mountains, okay? It's not gonna be a straight line up. So be careful with that. It's like a mastery process to master your social anxiety. It starts with a little spike, and then eventually you'll plateau at some point. Maybe you'll get comfortable with, let's say, a little group of friends, but then you will still have this massive anxiety about going to nightclubs. But then you have to plow through that. And then you'll eventually go that one time, then woo, progress again, and then plateau, and then maybe you'll even revert back. Maybe let's say you don't go out for 2 weeks or an entire month, you isolate yourself, and then you're back to square one. That is why I want you to be consistent with that. So you gotta talk to people at least every day, or at least every other day. Even if it's just brief conversation, you bump into an acquaintance, try to talk 10 seconds longer. Try to go a bit beyond small talk. The last point where you could fail here is when you think, oh, I've got it handled. This is more like the intermediate mistake with social anxiety. You go out for a while, and actually had this problem myself, is that I go out for a very long time and I think, I've got it handled now. I'm a social butterfly, whatever thing. I'm so much better. Maybe you have a little group of friends and your life is a lot better now that you've confronted your fears. But then you just kind of let it go, and then a few months later, when you go out, you still have this paralyzing social anxiety. I still have it now. Because I don't go out as much, when I attend a little, even a small gathering, let's say like 3 new people, I have social anxiety because I haven't been going out a lot lately. You want to make sure you're consistent. So this is the external solution of going out and meeting people. But what is the consequence of only going about it externally? Only going about it by taking action? Is that you could burn out. You could burn out, go out too much, especially if you're a natural introvert, and then it's just, the energy just takes a toll on you and you just can't do it anymore. It happened to me when I used to socialize a lot. I thought, hey, I have to confront my fears, and then I just go out so much that I stop being myself. I stop valuing what I value. Meditation, contemplation, those videos, video editing, being an artist, right? So never forget who you are in this process. Don't lose yourself in socializing so much that you don't become yourself anymore. A second problem, if you only go about it externally, you might hit a glass ceiling of achievement. This happened to me actually, where on my road towards overcoming social anxiety, I was able to talk to a lot of people, able to meet a lot of people, but there was a glass ceiling where I could not become intimate with people. I could meet 100 people and not be friends with them, but I could never turn them into close friends. That was my biggest problem back in the day. I'm still addressing it right now. And then I realized, hey, it doesn't matter how much I go out. The root of my social anxiety is not only in the first interaction, it's actually a fear of intimacy. And I was like, holy shit, this is it, man. This is the problem. So hey, if you have social anxiety, don't forget also to look internally for what is the underlying fear in you. Combine also the internal rewiring. Take the time to journal about it, write about your deepest fears. Think about how this anxiety is actually a good thing, where it's like going to the gym and getting better. It's like working out. After you go out, after you meet people, you go back home and you remember to yourself, so that was a good day today. Today, I grew myself, I worked on myself. Write down, like, let's say, how did you progress since last time? Were you more social than last time? Were you less social? What were the things you were most afraid of during this outing? Oh, you were afraid to speak up? All right, write this down. Okay, I was afraid to speak up. So next time I go out to a house party, I'm gonna try to speak up a little bit more, and let's say I'm gonna try to organize a game. You go out and you get those references, but also you reflect on them. Because I believe to overcome social anxiety, you also need to acquire skills. Because if you don't acquire skills, then whatever solution you find will crumble eventually, because it will not be grounded on a skill set. Whatever beliefs you have, you also need the skills, because the more competence you have, the more confidence you have. And the more confidence you have, the easier it will be to ease off this anxiety. It's not just enough to rewire your brain and whatever, self-hypnotize yourself into believing that people are good. You also have to acquire those skills. Go back home afterwards and ask yourself, how did I do today? How could I have been even more social? Did people look bored when I talked to them? Were people interested? How can I become even more the life of the party? How can I become even better? So that's really it, guys. That's how you overcome social anxiety. It's not just doing therapy on yourself. It's not just going out. It's doing both. Combining this introspection with going out and developing skills. Remember, social anxiety does not have to be something you want to eradicate right away. It can be something that you master for the rest of your life. You don't have to overcome it 100%. But you can know how to deal with it 100%. You can know how to live through it 100%. You can learn to develop skills. Look, anyone gets the nerves from time to time socializing. Not everybody is confident 100% of the time. We all get shy. We all get a bit nervous from time to time. So to assume that you'll ever get rid of social anxiety forever, I think, is a little unrealistic and a bit of the magic pill society, magic pill mentality that society likes to sell you on, right? So be careful with that and take action. So thank you for watching. This was John Killingsworth. Again, don't forget to click on the bell so you receive all my videos that I post every Monday or Friday. Let me know in the comments, what are you most socially anxious about right now? Are you dealing with social anxiety right now, and how do you want to overcome it? So I'll see you next time. Peace.